What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Cleveland Post YouTube channel. I am your host, Justin Harold, and with me, as always, rocking the must-win shades today, Jeff Santa. We're bringing you the Week 15 recap for the Browns' 20-17 victory over the Chicago Bears in what was a nail-biter at the end for the Browns, obviously coming back and winning the game, which they had been losing the entirety of. We're tied at points, but into that fourth quarter, we're losing, and just a spectacular, gritty, keep saying this week in and week out, gritty wins where you're pulling it out at the end, typically in the last play, if you were watching or if you were there, those were the plays that used to beat us a lot of times. So nice to have that come around and be the ending that we got. Jeff, at one point, and I'm going to let you, say your piece and everything, but we were still down at some point with about, I don't know how many minutes left, but I was like, at least we're still rocking with Joe Flacco with more than 2 minutes and like 11 seconds left on the clock. Because if you all remember as a Browns fan from last year, that's all the man needs. So, Jeff, how you doing, brother?
Well, that's a hilarious segue. But every week, and I'm gonna say it, and because it's improbable, but it's fun and it's high. Maybe it's a little hyperbole, but I think it's just truth at the end of the day. From today moving forward, we should not be winning any football games. This team they showed 3, 4, 5 times on the broadcast. The team has 26% of the team's salary cap is on the injured reserve list. There is no way that Joe Flacco, there is no way that Luke Whippler and these 2 tackles, we should not be winning any football games. And we come out every week and it's a struggle. It is, and you have to remind yourself that. It looks like the offense is anemic. We can't move the ball. The defense is still world class, specifically at home. They only scored 10 points. I mean, at the end of the day, we gave them the stupid, pick 6, and then the other interception basically set them up for their other touchdown. So another elite performance by the defense. They set the tone. The offense kind of defense starts up here. The offense kind of comes along, and then eventually they have a couple of drives up on this level, and then the defense raises it one more notch to win the football game. And it's the formula every week. It's a winning formula.
Yeah, I'm going to need Jim Schwartz to tell Greg Newsom, though, that he needs to push that guy out of bounds towards the end of the game there just to get him out of bounds. But, the defense, obviously, sometimes they have their woes, and I think that's every defense. I don't think that you can be like we were at the beginning of the season, as immaculate as we were. Wow. I don't know if that's a Borat insert there, but God, that's what I thought it was. So, but you can't keep immaculate defense throughout the whole year, and obviously we've had a couple of occasions where they've looked poor. Of course, where Jeff gets his little the Jim Woods or Joe Schwartz.
They didn't even really like that today, though. I thought that I wasn't even complaining about them that much. Besides that one drive, they really couldn't figure out how many people were on the field. But besides that, it was cool.
Yeah, and when you look at the stats, I mean, I think the stats also just kind of back up. And again, I'm a big believer in what this Bears teams has, and I'm a big NFL guy all around. But the Chicago coach is just a dingus. I mean, not taking the points at the end of the half, just tossing another Fields interception. He is, and also me being a homer, he's pushing the Fields narrative of he's not good, but. Other than that, I just think that this team, and Jeff, we talk about it constantly, we've talked about it in the past. Kevin Stefanski, the better coach, Joe Flacco, maybe not the better quarterback, but I think once you have that kind of coaching ability, it's one of those things where you can overcome injuries or quarterback play or flows of the offense, which again, Jeff, we haven't, we've just begun, but we haven't even talked about how poor just the run game has deteriorated. And, it's the one time where I think definitely in years past, had the run game been this poor, we would have never seen Kevin Stefanski, I think, make it to this part of the fourth, into this part of his fourth season and whatnot, probably going to get extended at this point. And to Jeff's point, coaching his way to maybe a coach of the year again. But it's just plain and simple to see you watch him or you watch these games, and now you're seeing what a lot of people have held in their hearts about Kevin Stefanski, where he just stays true to himself, his game. And sometimes, you're going to beat the teams that you should beat. And I think that this is a Bears team on a normal day you should beat.
Definitely.
In general, he's great teams this year. So I think that the coaching has been on another level, and that's mainly why we're sitting at 9-5 right now, Jeff.
I think that's such an interesting point that you bring up, though, because Kevin Stefanski's whole career is okay. He's basically garnered. He's got quarterbacks to play above their level, but we've also seen him falter at times, not be able to maybe maximize what we thought was the best out of some of these quarterbacks. But he's always been good in the run game, whether it's Bill Callahan, whether it's the running back coach, just obviously the high elite level of Nick Chubb. That's all been gone for weeks, months on end, and honestly, was it like great when we had a fully healthy starting line outside of Conklin? You saw it, like at least you could see some drives. You're like, okay, the running game's going. People got upset when we went away from the running game in some games. I'm telling you now, I got a major takeaway from this game, and I'm extremely happy we won. Obviously pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Probably have no business winning this game, all things considered. But the running backs they're just not very good, and that's a combination of multiple things. You're on your 9th, 10th, tackles, and your 17th starting center, whatever it may be. Obviously, but it's like Jerome Ford, nothing burger. Kareem Hunt, serviceable when you absolutely need him to get 1 or 2 or 3 yards, maybe. Pierre Strong cannot block and pass that, so he doesn't play. He's a special teams, gadget guy, which I'm cool with. Like, you finally have found some roles on this team that haven't existed in prior years. You have special team gadget guys. Prochet is extremely serviceable. Bajorquez, one of the better punters, I think, in the league this year. Obviously, Dustin Hopkins is a Pro Bowler, All-Pro, whatever you want to give him. Probably solidified himself in the Browns Hall of Fame in one season. He could probably never play for us again. He could never have another great year like this again. I think this season's good enough to beat all Phil Dawson's record as far as I'm concerned. But you know what the consistency is? It's kind of just like very simple, Justin. We come on here every week and talk about it. If you get, and it wasn't even that good today, 3 interceptions, but when you needed him to have competent play, he made competent throws. The extra pump fake go to Njoku on the last drive, elite, and he's almost 40, elite. The ball to Amari Cooper for the touchdown from the back view is the best pass I have ever seen a Browns quarterback make. There's no debating for me. It was anticipation window, throws it before he's even out of the break, perfect dime, in stride, toe taps down the sidelines, touchdown, bingo. Beauty.
Jeff, and you're talking about Joe Flacco in all those instances, but we got to talk about Amari Cooper and David Njoku for the first time and probably what's been years. Someone's gonna have to either tweet it out or find it for us, but 2 100-yard receivers with touchdowns, David Njoku and Amari Cooper. David now streamlining 2 back-to-back amazing games. Jeff, obviously you and me especially, have been a huge criticizer of David Njoku in the past. Finally, when you need it the most, Jeff, when you need it the most, big. He's coming up big. And, he's one of those players that we've been waiting a very long time to have, I think, a season like this, where I think, outside of maybe touchdowns, I think he's having one of the best years of his career. And, on the flip side of that, Amari Cooper, he can kind of disappear every now and again, but he is always, always, always going to be a threat and capable of going for one of these 100-yard games and a touchdown. I mean, he didn't have, he wasn't even the leading receiver in receptions or targets, and still ends up with the most yards and a touchdown.
Honestly, this is just a testament to the offensive play calling Stefanski and just how he's actually been able to get good to great play from some of these quarterbacks. You have, how many games do we have left? We have 3 games left, correct? Amari has 876 total yards, and Njoku has 600 with 4 different starting quarterbacks. So not, a huge yard total from Njoku, but 40 yards from being his career best. His career best was 2018, 639 yards. Obviously, Amari Cooper has had elite years in the past. He's not going to it's unlikely he comes close to having a career, but he could still do it. If he has 3 more 100-yard games, which is totally possible, he could get up there for one of his better receiving totals in his career with 4 different starting quarterbacks. He only has the 2 touchdowns, but what does it matter? The dude is the most competent person moving the football. And what really stands out to me is that I just feel like Flacco with Stefanski has just gotten the best look out of these guys. He's made Cooper just as good, if not better, than some of the other quarterbacks we played this year, most definitely. And Njoku, probably Njoku's best 2 games under Joe Flacco. Elijah Moore is coming around. He's actually playing decent football with Joe Flacco. We know he has that chemistry from that Jets roster.
Seeing some spurts from Cedric Tillman too.
Cedric Tillman's going to be a problem. Cedric Tillman is a good football player as far as I'm concerned. Small sample size, but yeah, he's the archetype of wide receiver we've been missing. Taller dude, jump ball. You know, he gets lit up on the pick six. Not necessarily his fault, probably an ill-advised throw. I think this is so funny what Ashton says in the chat. Best QB play I've seen since 07, Derek Anderson. And if I'm not mistaken, the AFC was really competitive that year too, because there was a season, I don't know if it was 07 or 08, I think it was 07, where Derek Anderson led the Browns to 10 wins and we missed the playoffs. I believe they were 10-7, didn't get a playoff game. Very similar situation, kind of a Cinderella story, shouldn't have been there type of moment, but here we are.
Derek Anderson actually made it to the playoffs. I think he...
Not with us, I don't think.
Wasn't there, since 1999...
Goodwin.
Either way, neither to the point here. But, yeah, I mean, in terms of just quarterback play, it's
10-6.
It's kind of just stupid in terms of 10-6. I thought that was the year that we might have we went to the playoffs but didn't win a playoff game or maybe something like that. But anyways, the quarterback play is just if you had DTR in this situation and his stats going into halftime were what they were, I don't think he comes out and he continues to throw the ball 44 freaking times,
right,
and ends up with a second touchdown, especially if he throws that second interception before that touchdown. That's where it's really I just think it's been one of those things where even you can look at the Jets and be like, hey, these guys were dummies, dinguses, whatever you want to call them, for not going out and just getting an experienced quarterback, because for so long, you try to make it work with, DTR, PJ Walker, and for their instance, Zach Wilson, when all this time we've known Joe Flacco with more than 2 minutes and 11 seconds left on the clock can basically do just about anything.
Yep.
And I mean,
got 26 game-winning drives.
When you talk about the Watson play, he's not touching Watson play right now, but at least he's when he's making an interception or he's throwing an interception or he's throwing 2 interceptions, it's not all hope is now lost and it's just it's demoralized time. These younger guys or these, XFL guys, they don't have what it takes to come back in crunch time during a stretch of games where you have to win these games in order to make, playoff contention. And I just think that for Joe Flacco to step in and do what he's done, it's just natural. Jeff and I have talked about how good this roster has been and how good now the coaching has been. Now it's really just a matter of the quarterback play. And I think for that matter, Joe Flacco has done just about enough.
And I'm going to be honest with you. We're done with it. We've established this weeks ago. I am sick and tired of relying on other people to lose or this and that to happen. And Justin probably has the rant of the year pertaining to the Browns that I do have clipped. It's one of the funnier things that he said on this live about how we have to take our destiny into our own hands and just take a look around the league as far as what happened this week. You get some help, but you also don't get some help. So the Steelers lose yesterday. Saturday game, 30-13 against Indianapolis, moves them to 7-7. But the Colts moved to 8-6. We have the head-to-head against them, but still right on our heels. Cincinnati still winning with a backup quarterback, just like we are. They moved to 8-6, win in overtime against the Vikings, basically keeping their season alive for the most part. And the same thing today. The Dolphins win. Okay, whatever. They're playing the Jets. That's not to be, too surprising, but the Texans, without CJ Stroud, win an overtime game against Houston. That really would have put, a big damper on their season if they would have lost, moved to 8-7. And then the pinnacle game of the week, Ravens Jags tonight, Sunday Night Football. I'm locked into this game because if Baltimore loses, it is on. If Baltimore can't win tonight, I understand Jacksonville will pick up a game, but we already have the head to head. Holy moly. We have the head-to-head with them. We have the head-to-head against Jacksonville. We have the head-to-head against Indianapolis. We still have an opportunity to pick up a game against the Texans, who are going to be right on our heels. We split with everybody in the division. Perfect. Even better. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at moving forward. It's a hotly contested AFC battle. The Chiefs get the job done today against New England. I hope that they could do that as far as I'm concerned. But talk about a gritty win when you absolutely needed to continue the streak. So you back-to-back wins. You put back-to-back wins together. You're on the road in Houston next week. I'm almost certain, knowing our luck, that CJ Stroud will be cleared to play. Of course, he misses this week. And here's probably the best storyline of the year I'm looking forward to. Obviously, all eyes are locked in on next week because it's a Houston game in Houston where we have to get the job done. But it would just be our luck that the script is in and Aaron Rodgers comes and plays against us the week after and puts 3 touchdowns on our head, and it's probably a highly contested game. I know that might be, far-fetched for a lot of people, but I don't see why not at this point. Justin, let's just take a little look. Let's take a little look at these remaining 3 games. I want to hear your thoughts. We're on this 2-game winning streak. You went out good games here against Jacksonville, against Chicago. Now you have the Texans. Sunday game into a Thursday game. It's really not going to get any easier.
No, and of course, like you were alluding to, and sorry, I had to get out of here for 2 seconds, but it would just be the Browns' luck. Like the Texans would get CJ Stroud back next week. Of course, sure. That'd probably be the case. Still serviceable by the sense of Case Keenum coming in today against the Titans, but and then you move on to the Jets. Like Jeff said, it would be in the script for Aaron Rodgers to come back into a basically meaningless season for the Jets and just take absolute demolishing shots from our D-line, especially Myles Garrett. But I would say that's probably your easiest game, and not even like your easiest game, because the Bengals, no matter what, they're still out here playing, winning games, and being competitive. It's one of those things where they could spoil our season at the end of it, depending on how the Texans and Jets games go. That's just kind of how, like, I loved your use of the word "the script." And to make it an interesting to make sure that TV ratings are still as high as can be. The Browns would probably lose to the Texans, and the Jets will probably win whoever their next week game is. Have some impossible playoff scenario where if they beat the Browns on Thursday night and win the next game, they're in somehow or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. You look at these 3 games, and I'm pretty sure, just like everyone else in the state of Ohio, you can tell me who the Texans quarterback is, but you can't tell me who the rest of the players are on that team. So very interesting what they've been able to do there. The Jets, obviously, they're a defensive team as of right now, and that's about it. And then the Bengals, like, it's just been, they're supposed to be a good team. Whether they really are or not, they're kind of doing what we're doing, where they're still playing without their starting quarterback, still winning games, still being in the playoff race. And yeah, I don't think Jake Browning is that guy, but he's got them playing right now, and that makes for all 3 of these games to be still a challenge for the Browns, even with what we've seen from them in the past 2 games. So,
but Justin, what I was saying, we get some help this week. We get some.
Well, luckily you get Baltimore and Jacksonville playing each other. It's
and Jacksonville, and when you turn around and we're instantly, rooting for Jacksonville because 10-4 versus 9-5, and Baltimore still has to play San Francisco. That's all I'm going to say. Their schedule is a lot harder than ours. Sure, we still have to execute. We still have road games left, but they're playing Jacksonville tonight. They still have to play San Francisco. They still have to play the Steelers. The last game of the year, they're playing the Steelers, and I don't remember this other 3rd team that they're playing outside of those 3, or the 4th team. But if Baltimore loses tonight, it is on for the first seed in the AFC, and that's absolutely crazy to be saying.
Right, especially where we are at this point in the season with injuries, and
crazy.
It's just like you look at Baltimore and they have some pretty good things going for them with far less injuries and whatnot. You talk about their defense and our defense, up there as one of the greats right now. It's one of the top 10 or two of the top 10 defenses.
Niners, Dolphins, Steelers. Jags on the road, Niners on the road, and then Dolphins and Steelers are at home. But back-to-back road games where it could get out of hand for them, and back-to-back prime time. They get one extra day of rest. They're playing on Monday next week, but they got prime time this week, prime time next week, and then it's a Sunday game on the 31st, and then the January 7th game against Pittsburgh is to be determined for time, because I'm sure if that game means more than what it means now, it'll be flexed somewhere else.
Yep, and Jeff, obviously you know this, but the likelihood of us getting help is not very great. But
don't want to rely on it. I don't want any help.
Well, yes, of course, but you can't get much better help if you need it than that. I mean, obviously, San Francisco playing at a different level. Miami can put up points with the best of them, or are the best of them. But and the Steelers game, again, you can never
always play them well.
Oh, yeah, and they'll never just give up a game. So, that'll be interesting to see. That's a terrible 4-game stretch for them.
Absolutely.
Hopefully a great stretch for us. But, Jeff, anything else to go over in this one before we call it a quits? Get into some Cavs stuff, maybe.
No. Game balls, pretty simple this week. There's a lot of them. Joe Flacco, Cooper,
David
Njoku. The DBs continue to step up. DeAnthony Bell, serviceable football. What's his name? Mitchell. Mitchell Cameron. with that tackle for tripping up Fields. That's like the play of the game. The Alex Wright tackle on the jet sweep, play of the game nominee. Hopkins, game-winning field goal, play of the game. Game ball. Stefanski calling good plays when he absolutely has to. Another team win. You can't. This team does not work.
I feel like this is like if you had to give a singular team ball to the team this week,
game,
I would just give it to the team. Like I just leave it in the middle of the locker room, because I'd say this is as close as you get to having a most, like, the special teams were pretty darn great. The defense was pretty darn great for the majority of the game, and the offense not great for the majority of the game, but great at the end. And that all adds up together for a nice 20-17 victory, moving your Browns to 9-5. We want to thank everyone who's been in the chat. Obviously, MCC, Ashton, Momo, Zachary Hunter, as always. And thank you guys very much. Make sure you guys are leaving your comments if you're watching this after the fact. If not, please make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting the bell notification. And with all that, we'll be catching you guys sometime later. Peace.